I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about UFC featherweight contender Brian Ortega wants a front row ticket to what he describes as a beautiful lightweight showdown. He also names his favorite UFC fighter. Interesting. The number 3 ranked UFC featherweight Brian Ortega recently shared some thoughts on the promotion on UFC fighters and upcoming bout. T City last fought in back at UFC on ABC, where he fell to the current interim champion Yair Rodriguez Viva TKO due to a shoulder injury late in round one. Ortega ultimately needed surgery to repair the damage. Interesting. In a recent interview with the Schmo, T City, Brian T City Ortega was asked who he considers his favorite fighter to watch in the UFC. Brian Ortega highlighted Justin Gaethje, wow, as his number one choice, praising Gaethje's ferocious fighting style. That's a tough one. My favorite fighter to watch in the UFC right now, Ortega said. I like Justin Gaethje, yeah. I have a lot of love for the way his fighting style lives and everything. So when he shows up to fight. He shows up to go in there. Brian Ortega talks Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje Part 2. The Schmo went on to ask Brian Ortega about the rumored rematch between Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. Uh, uh, Brian T. City Ortega revealed he was front row for the original classic clash between them and would like to be again should a rematch go ahead. I was there when Poirier and Justin Gaethje fought the first time. The only time, right? Ortega said, that was a beautiful front row experience in my life right there. So I'm gonna talk to Dana White and see if that fight happens again. I'm gonna ask him for front row tickets again. But Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje took place back on UFC on Fox 29 in April of 5 years ago, basically. There, the Diamond TKO'd. Okay, let's just say Dustin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier TKO'd Justin Gaethje early in the 4th round. The fight was widely acclaimed for its brutal action. Now that Poirier is the number 2 ranked lightweight and Justin Gaethje is the number 3 ranked lightweight, a potential clash between the pair would make an exciting number 1 contenders bout, in the near future. Now, this is the first time I'm reading this article. I was wrong. I thought he was gonna Brian Ortega. When he said that he wanted tickets to a beautiful lightweight showdown, I was just like, I thought he was talking about Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira. I was wrong. I was just like, yeah, what else would he be talking about? I didn't think about Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier was the fight that he was referencing. That's interesting. First thing Ortega says is that Justin Gaethje is his number 1 choice. That's interesting. Justin Gaethje coming off of a nice win over Rafael Fiziev. Justin Gaethje also defeated Michael Chandler last year. 2 wins in a row over top 5, top 10 ranked lightweights. Definitely looking to make his way back to the championship. Dustin Poirier defeated Conor McGregor and defeated Michael Chandler. So he has, I believe, like 3 wins in a row or maybe even 2 wins in a row for Dustin Poirier. It should be a great fight. I don't know if it would be the number 1 contender fight. Maybe it would have to say to be a number 2 contenders fight, because from what I understand, and I am an MMA casual, Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush, the winner of that is more than like, and that fight is happening in May 7th or something, like 290 or something like that. But Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush, I believe that will be the number 1 contender from what I understand. Islam Makhachev defended his bout in February versus Alexander Volkanovski. We haven't heard anything from Islam Makhachev. We haven't heard him booking a fight versus Dustin Poirier. Poirier is the only top 10 ranked fighter who doesn't have any fights planned. So Islam Makhachev, I believe, is going to wait for the results of the fight between Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush to decide. The winner of that will most likely be the number one contender. And whenever UFC makes, because most likely they're gonna make Dustin Poirier versus Charles, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. These names are so close. Justin. But yeah, whenever they make that fight, I don't know if that's gonna be. I don't. The question is, should that fight be a 3-round fight or 5-round fight? The first fight in 2018 was obviously a 5-round fight because the fight ended in the 4th round. But Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush, that's not a 5-round fight. That's a 3-round fight. That's the Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo card. So I don't know. Maybe the UFC puts them on the undercard of Chandler versus Connor. I don't know if that's going to be the main event. That should be the main event of a card, but who knows what's going to happen. But let me know, a few questions. Who is your current UFC favorite fighter? My favorite fighter, I normally don't answer these questions in these stories, but my current favorite fighter and my favorite fighter of all time is John Jones, and it's not even close. But let me know who's your favorite fighter, and who do you think is going to win the second fight? Is that even... Now, let's just go with who's your favorite fighter, right? We don't have to go into Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje because that fight's not even made. But who's your current favorite fighter? Brian Ortega's current favorite fighter is Justin Gaethje. My current favorite fighter is John Bones Jones. I'm Jason UFC, and today we had a story about UFC featherweight contender Brian Ortega wants front row tickets to Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje Part 2. Names Justin Gaethje as its current favorite UFC fighter. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.